these people are so used to just playing around the computer in the office. They start making tea, they start doing what, just to kill time, just to be there. Why would I waste my time that I have things to do, I have other things to do outside my work? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Hapra, and thanks guys for coming back for another video. If you're new here guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, okay? And then if you're already here, you know how we do it. Okay, so guys, today I want to talk about mental health, but personal mental health, and mostly because mostly living in Japan, basically, if I may say. Anyway, story time guys. So I used to be a full-time worker before I joined school, and I had a difficult time. So I had a particular, I made this kind of hair, like I did this hair for myself, and I thought it was normal. You know, I'm a black girl, we are always exploring with hair, you know, like, so you try a new hairdo, and you go to work the next day and you're like, you feel like, yeah, I like this look, you know, it's something new, and you spend a lot of money on it too. So you're there and you're just like, okay. And then that time I was working at an international preschool, you know. So, and this is, I think guys, be careful of schools mostly in Japan that always just label themselves with international, global, international, global, those kind of schools. You may even reach there and there is nothing international about the school besides them trying to, like, how can I say it? Like, try to make like promote, you know, English and all, but besides that there is nothing. They do not understand like people's cultures, like black cultures or whatever. So like everything for them is more like you have to do it the Japanese way, you know, you have to be like this. So anyway guys, so I had this particular hairstyle. Let me show you the picture. It was, if you look at this picture, it's not that kind of hair, like crazy hair. You would think like, oh, I can't go to work with this hair. So I go to work, and you know what, everyone was like looking at me like what's that hair? And I'm like, why is everyone looking at me like it's a big deal to have this kind of hairstyle, you know? So but I didn't take it like a big deal. I continue, and then like the manager of the school at the time calls my boss and asks my boss like, you should come and say Harriet's hair. And then I'm like, and she comes and she's like, oh wow, I don't think like you can have this kind of hair at school. And I'm like, why? What's wrong with my hair? You know, like and it was just really hard. And then she's like, oh, because, you know, like it's not professional, blah blah. I'm like, what do you mean it's non-professional? Where is it written like this kind of hair is professional, this kind of hair is non-professional, you know? So, and I'm like trying to process that whole thing. And then like I had my former boss who was black actually. He introduced me to that school. So I expected him to, you know, understand more. You know, he's black and he has a daughter, he has a son. So I expected him to understand me more. So I call him up and I'm like, but even before I call him, they called him to tell him like, you should see Harriet's hair, blah blah blah. And then he comes to school, guys, these people made a big deal out of hair, imagine. And then he comes to school, he looks at my hair, and they're like, I don't she shouldn't have this kind of hair at school, blah blah blah, and we think she should take it out. And then he was like, he was put in a tight spot obviously, but at the same day I expected him to stand up for me to say, you know what, black people, black women usually do different kind of hairstyles, and this is part of our culture, you know, like we do this all the time. It's no big deal. It's not like I'm having like red hair to school or something, you know. Even red hair is it's okay because it's hair. Come on, like kids. Anyway, we go through that, and he's like, oh, Harriet, like you have to take out the hair because the school can't let you, like, you know, continue working with this hair. And I'm like, are you guys serious? Like, you know, after like doing your hair, like the next, you know how much it hurts, like, you know, guys, I was in pain of, first of all, and then someone is telling me like you have to take out that hair. That's like double pain. I just started crying, and I couldn't believe it, because I was like, I'm usually like the one who is like holding it up, and I'm like, no, I'm not crying in front of people. Guys, I was crying like crazy, and then they're like, oh, we are gonna give you like a week, by this weekend you should take it out, blah. I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. But I go back home, I talk to my dad feels really bad. I was still crying. And then I call my mom is like, why don't you just quit the job, you know, that's always an option. But remember, this was in between the contract, you know, in between, it's in the middle of the year. So if I just decide to quit, I have to go back out there, look for another job and all. And that was something that I didn't want to like do at that time. Guys, it was really hard. I don't know, like, I sucked it up. I went to the beach that weekend, you know, and after that I took out my hair, went back to school with my normal hair, my straight hair, and they were like, oh, this hair looks so much better on you, why do you have to put in extensions? Like, if I could say like shut that up, I could say that, but you know, it's work, so I can't say anything. Like I was so mad, I was so angry. But you know how like these people like torture you in a way, like they start small, you know. These are things like, if you work at a Japanese company or like with Japanese people, it's better you have your guard up, because you don't even see it coming. It starts small, you do something small, they start piling it up, and then before you know it, they start gossiping about you behind your back, you know. Before you know it, they're like hating on you low-key, guys, at work, like seriously. And then you're like, okay, what was the big deal? I don't get it, you know. Anyway, so I was like, okay, so this is happening. Mind you, this was around the time our bonus payments were coming. Like, I was about July, and in August we were supposed to be paid our bonuses, yeah. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna take out this hair, because I know these people are gonna try to find an excuse for them not to pay me my bonus. And I was looking forward to it. Guys, I went through the pain of taking out my hair, and then I come back to school, work for that month and until the end, wait for my bonus. Did I even get my bonus? Everyone at school got paid but me, you know. And I was like, okay, wait, this is kind of weird. So I asked around, I asked people, like other teachers, like, oh, did you get your bonus? They're like, yeah. Or did you get, oh yeah, I did. Oh, it was only me that wasn't paid, you know. And I asked myself, like, I called my former boss who introduced me, like, hey, I didn't get my bonus, like, I'm wondering why. And then he calls my boss, and he talks to my boss, and my boss, total crap. She didn't have even any excuse. She was like, Nanka, you know, Nanka, because Nanka, but don't worry, you're gonna get your December bonus. I was like, this is crap, because I was so mad, guys. Like, literally no excuse. She's like, oh, because of lately what's been going on at school, blah blah blah, you know, like with your hair. And I was like, how is my hair now related to my bonus? This is the thing, like, people will, like, I've seen this with this country, like, if something is going to come up, they start from like a month or 2 months before, and it's coming, like, they start coming up with excuses. Before you know it, you're the problem, you know. So, and I'm like, okay, okay, I check my contract. My contract says I can quit after giving them 1 month notice. I just write my letter. I'm like, you know what, I'm quitting. And I decide, like, I send in my resignation later. Guys, they start pleading like crazy. They're like, how are we gonna find another teacher to replace you in the middle of the semester, blah blah blah, please don't quit, blah blah blah. Now they start coming up with all the reasons for you not to quit, you know. Mind you, you're already attached to the kids now. It's difficult for you to just say, like, bye, you know, like, bye kids, I'm leaving, you know. You can't, because you're already attached to those kids too. So you're like, I can't just leave them. Like, I've done so much for them. They've like helped me grow up too in a way. So me to just be like, okay, bye, I'm leaving you. It was hard for me. So they convinced me like, okay, you should stay, you should stay. And yeah, I stayed until my contract ended. And then they were like, oh, you should like, I told them, yeah, I'm going to like quit. I can't continue. They're like, no, you can stay, blah blah blah, you know. They even try to just tell you like, oh, we can increase your salary, you know. That's how they bribe you. But you know how it is here. The more money you get paid, the more you're overworked, you know. So you have to think about that, you know. Okay, first of all, when I joined this school, I used to like go to the gym. That was my routine. I finish work, go to the gym, after gym, dinner, blah blah blah. And then I joined this school. And what happens, my contract was from 8 to 5. And guys, when 5, my former job was like 5, you know how ALT is, 5 clocks you're out. 4, actually it was 4 at that time. 4 clocks you're out of there. And then I reached this school. They're like, okay, it's 8 to 5. I'm like, okay. 5 clocks, I'm like, oh, Otsukare sama desu. You know, they look at you like, are pitari, like, is she really leaving at exactly the time like she's supposed to leave? Because these people are so used to just playing around the computer in the office. They start making tea, they start doing what, just to kill time, just to be there. Why would I waste my time that I have things to do, I have other things to do outside my work? They just start wasting time at the office just to be seen that they are the office. I didn't want to do that, because I'm not really fake like that, you know. And then like after that, they start, you know, when it's like around 4:55, or 4:50, they start telling you, oh, Harriet, did you do this? Oh, did you do that? Did you do that? Oh, can you please help me do that? Can you help me? I'm like, I have 10 minutes and I was planning to leave, you know. So they'll be like, you can just leave after finishing this, blah blah blah. Really? Anyway, it was really a tough transition for me, because I think that's the point where like it was so rough on me. It was so rough on my mental health, because every time like I just decide to like talk to just decide, let's say for example, okay, this is what my contract says. Why can't they just respect my contract? Why can't they just respect me, you know, and just respect my decisions? And then on top of that, they even tell you, oh, but you're still young. For you, you're Genki. For you, you're energetic. You can do this. You can do that. Blah, blah, blah. What are you going to go home to do? Oh, you're not married. Blah, blah. I'm like, that is none of your business if I'm married or if I'm not married. It's not your business. So why? Anyway, long story short, it was so tough. And like, first of all, like, before I joined that school, like my former boss introduced me to, like, I was still like an ALT. He came to visit my school, and you know what he said? Like, that time I remember, like, I lost my granddad. That was my mom's dad, and it was a tough time, you know. My mom was really sad. I had to, like, you know, be there for her, like on the phone all the time, and like it was tough on me, you know. And I had to still go to work, because in Japan, like, even just to say like, oh, you lost someone and like the person is like in another place, and unless you're leaving, you can't just say like, okay, I'm gonna stay home to grieve. Like, for them, they feel like, huh, you know. Unless you say, like, for example, like you're going for a funeral. But anyway, so my boss, I told him, oh, by the way, I lost my grandfather yesterday. He was like, oh yeah? I was like, I'm sorry for your loss. How old was he? And I'm like, he was like about 85, 86. He's like, but he was old, so it's not so bad. At least he lived. I'm like, at least he lived for that long? He was, at least he lived for that long. I'm like, he's still my granddad. That's not what I want to hear. I wanted some compassion at that time, because I'm like, dude, like, at least, okay. Anyway, guys, so you have to be really tough, like, in this country. If you're not tough, like, a lot of things break you, you know. Like, you need a shoulder to lean on, and it's not a good thing in life to always feel like you have to rely on someone. Yeah, so for me, at least I had like my dad. When I was crying, when I go back home, I'm crying. When I was so stressed from work and like I had no one to talk to, I had my dad, and he could understand. He'd be like, oh, just hang in there, you know, this is how Japan works, and like you'll be fine. What? But in Japan, they don't have so many like places for you to be able to go and open up like about stuff like that, you know. And it's so stressful. Anyway, like, you know, the lesson I learned from that is that I'm never ever gonna kill myself for a job, because with a job, like, you're always replaced, you know, you're always replaced no matter what. And my mental health, my happiness, or like, should be my #1 priority. People don't care, like the minute you just say like, okay, the minute you're not in anywhere, like people are not even gonna remember you like after a month. So why kill yourself for a job, you know? So I learned that the hard way, and I was like, the pain that I went through just for like hair, just for like because I want to go back home on time, and I was living like an hour plus away from the school, you know. And you know how like how the trains can be so crowded. Oh Jesus. But anyways, but for me, like, I think what hurt me like even the most was just that my former boss, being like black, who I thought would relate to my situation, didn't really hear me out, you know. And I just felt like, if we ourselves, like black people, we don't treat each other like in a better way or in a good way, how do we expect other people to treat us like in any way, you know, or in any better way? Because if like this is a black person saying like, oh, you can take out your hair, you know, even though you know the pain women go through to do their hair, even though you know that this is part of our culture, and then you tell me to take out my hair, and how is the Japanese person going to react? Of course, for her, she's also thinking it's such an easy thing, so you should just do it. Yeah, so it was really tough on me. And yeah guys, it was a lesson. Honestly, it was a lesson. But my prayer is that no one ever goes through that at work. Like, no one ever goes through that torture, no one ever goes through that mistreatment, you know, no matter what. And I know like I'm not the only one. Maybe like I actually, like, Japan is loosening up more and more lately, with more like they're trying to open up more. But like 3-4 years ago, Japan was not like this. Like literally, like a lot of things have changed about Japan. And I just thank God that many people, actually many foreigners even come to Japan now, and they can say like, oh, Japan is this, Japan is that, Japan is that. But like 5 years ago, Japan, hard. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Okay, love you as always. Bye.